I'm Kevin Coleman with Football Guys, and today we're going to be talking about your dynasty teams again. So we've done this on the channel for the past 3 weeks, looking at how to build your dynasty, how to rebuild. What are we looking at today? What we're going to be diving into is injuries, and we're going to be talking about assets that are injured and what you should be doing with them. It is one of the toughest things to navigate in dynasty leagues because if you move them too late, you lose your value, and you might not ever recover. You move them too early, you don't get your value back, and then you're watching them succeed on the field after an injury. And you're wondering, why did I trade that player? So we're going to be diving into 4 players, 4 major assets right now that are injured and what you should be doing with them on your dynasty roster. Let's get to it. All right, before we get into the players, and I'm going to give you actionable content like always. I always try to give you guys real life trades that have happened recently, diving into values, where they're at. We first need to talk about dynasty versus redraft. Now, before you change the channel and turn off YouTube and quit, I think what I want to talk about here is, I know it's dynasty, but your mindset going into your league. So one thing I think that managers really struggle with is, all right, it's dynasty, but how far out are we projecting? What are we looking for? And I think one of the biggest mistakes that dynasty managers make is they think this thing is going to last 5, 6, 7 years. When in reality, most dynasty leagues, unless you're with a cohort of groups of people that you know, it's a 3-year lifespan. And then you're going to get it churning. And then you don't know player values because you get new managers in there and they value players differently. So the one thing I was saying always is 2-year outlooks. Like for me, it's 2 to 3 years, but I like 2-year outlooks. All right, I'm not going to rebuild entirely. I'm going to do small rebuilds to build up to where I can come back. And in 2 years, I'm going to go compete. And then that's where I'm looking at. So when I look at these values, I know this. Now, the other thing that you need to know as a dynasty manager, especially those new to the format, you should have almost like a spreadsheet. Now, I don't, spreadsheets are spreadsheets, but of all your league mates. And what I would do, and what I kind of do in my leagues, is I put their team name in a spreadsheet and I list all the trades that they've ever done. And then I start seeing tendencies. And so I'll put the trade in, even if it's not between me and another group. And I see, okay, this what manager bias does this have? So what is he like? Oh, he likes young pieces. Oh, he likes older pieces because he tends to go for it a little bit more. And that's how you kind of can dictate biases in your league mates. That is an underrated part of all of this when we're talking about like dynasty versus redraft mindsets. Some guys come in with just a win now attitude every year. But if you track their moves, you can track their tendencies, especially in season, because then you know what teams are doing. And sometimes we get overloaded. We don't know, too many leagues going on and too much value. But there are times where we can track these things. And that's where we know where we can recuperate value if one of our guys gets injured, or if one of their guys gets injured, we know we can go target them because there's probably going to be a sell or buy opportunity. Micromanage your leagues. It's too many videos out there and too much content out there for fantasy is macro. Everything's over here talking about, oh, buy this person now. It all depends on your league. But if you do those little things where you have a spreadsheet of guys and what they like and what they don't like, that is one way you can manage your league and take an advantage of your league mates. Have that little bit of, have that fun with these guys and know who you can manipulate in the leagues. That's what fantasy is for, right? So let's get into some guys. So we're going to talk about some pieces and assets that you're looking at. So first one's up, excuse me, Cooper Kupp. What do we do with Cooper Kupp? So right now, again, I've talked about Keep Trade Kupp for a while. You can go to the website. It's a free dynasty rankings kind of area, and you can look at how the market is valuing these guys. Now, we have great dynasty, rankings on Football Guys, and I would use those to cross-reference this one. But this is the market. This is the free market, and this is where you can see where their guys are at. Cooper Kupp right now has dropped all the way to wide receiver 15. So when we're thinking about what do we do with him, for me, he's a buy candidate, but I'm going to put a caveat on this. For rebuild candidates, 1 year away. So some of you guys out there have been rebuilding, and you've been building to where you have a bunch of first, and you have like a chance to get Bijan Robinson from Texas, these other guys that are coming up, these rookies. But remember, when we talk about dynasty, we're looking at a 2-year outlook. You should be ready to compete next year. Right now is the perfect opportunity to buy low on Cooper Kupp. You're going to place a top 5 receiver on your dynasty roster after, and it's not going to accumulate points, right? You could probably ship him, and then you can get in a better position in your rookie drafts. And then you're going to be able to build on it next year with Bijan Robinson, who's probably going to be a top 5 running back coming out already, just in terms of talent, value, all of that. These are the ways that you can kind of compete. Now, just to talk to you about what I'm, just to kind of go over the trades I've seen. Cooper Kupp straight up for DeAndre Hopkins. Excellent move by this manager. Obviously, this manager was kind of out of it. DeAndre Hopkins, this other manager thinks, hey, I can kind of go for it. I need somebody like this. That is a perfect trade with what I'm talking about. You're not giving up too much value. So if you're going to buy Cooper Kupp, don't give up too much value. Like, you don't need to give up, Chris Olave or something like that. Look around and see some older players and older prospects that you can kind of move. Take that short-term hit now, increase your probably draft position wherever it's at, and then you can go out and compete next year. Now, another deal that I like, Cooper Kupp and Brevin Jordan together for Mike Evans and Tyler Higbee. Hey, I like that Mike Evans, hey, you're giving up that, go get him. If you're trading away Mike Evans, you obviously are not in contention. And then you get Cooper Kupp, you get that year, and you're going to say, hey, I'm going to go compete with him next year. I love that. There's a lot of uncertainty with Evans, especially with that quarterback position, right? Now, other deals too. Cooper Kupp for Elijah Mitchell, Christian Kirk, and Hunter Henry. A lot of nickels for a quarter. I like the Kupp side on that. So these are deals that you can kind of make to kind of solidify and go get him. He's a value right now. And then the last one, Cooper Kupp for Amari Cooper. Again, I like Amari, but he's we call him the fantasy locust for a reason. He pops in and out, right? He's very inconsistent. If you can get somebody to trade you straight up Amari Cooper for Cooper Kupp, you do that just based on value alone. Now, next guy, Trey Lance. I know everybody, this is a hot one, especially when we talk about injuries. He's probably going to take a little while to recover. The Niners, what are they going to do? Are they going to be in the market for a quarterback next year? They know Jimmy's not the answer, as we've seen. So what do you do with Trey Lance? Right now, he's getting valued outside the top 12 quarterbacks, quarterback 13. I think he's a buy still. So for me personally, when I'm looking at him as an asset, I still think you can go get him. And reason why is in a lot of deals that I've seen in Superflex leagues, he's not going for a quarterback. People are being able to move, auxiliary pieces for him, like running backs and wide receivers. And I like that value because quarterbacks are always going to hold the most value. Now, here's a deal that I'm talking about with this. Now, there's a little bit of pieces in this, so just hang with me. Lance, John Metchie, and Zach Ertz, who just got injured, for Jeff Wilson, Amari Cooper, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, on the face value, you're giving up 3 very win-now pieces, but then you get Trey Lance back. Now, I think that's a little much. I think you could have got rid of one of those pieces there, but this is the kind of deals where I'm seeing where you're not giving up like a top quarterback asset, and that is a good thing to do. Now, another one, Trey Lance and Marquise Goodwin for Zach Wilson and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, that was a little while ago before all the Zach Wilson kind of mess, but there are quarterbacks out there that you can kind of manipulate and use. Hey, maybe someone wants to believe in Derek Carr. Maybe they're contenders, right? Maybe we're looking at like a Daniel Jones situation. Kenny Pickett, someone believes him out there. Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins. Like, there's areas out there that you can kind of trade for him and kind of manipulate that value. Next guy that I think is a guy that we need to mention, Breece Hall. Now, Breece Hall is still getting valued as a top 5 running back. So, and the reason why, to me, is because that injury, all the injury guys that I trust and all the injury guys out there, they don't think that this injury is going to be a long-term, really bad injury. It is basically an ACL. It's one of those straightforward procedures. It's nothing like we saw with Dobbins, where J.K. Dobbins from Baltimore, where he had to reconstruction, all that kind of stuff. There's nothing like that with Breece. Breece is just a straight up injury. So right now, he's still getting valued as a running back 3, but there's a slight market for him out there because there's teams out there that have like CMC and those guys that might not be, when you're looking at their roster and maybe you have CMC and you're not contending, this is the time to get off of CMC, which you couldn't trade before this year, before he got traded to 49ers, and then maybe go get Breece Hall plus, right? So Mark Andrews, so here's the deal right now. Mark Andrews for Breece Hall and Mike Gesicki. I don't mind that. I know Mark Andrews is a top elite tight end, but if you can get a Breece Hall for that, and if you have some tight end help there, I like that. Now, my next deal is the one that I think is a value. So it's Drake London and a third for Breece Hall. I like that. I like that idea because Drake London in an Atlanta offense that's run heavy. What is it? I know Pitt's going down, changes a little bit of things there, but Breece Hall is right there where you can kind of go and get him for Drake London. There's receivers all over the NFL. There's not a Breece Hall. And if you can do that, I don't hate that deal. Another one that was straight up was Breece Hall for Travis Etienne. Again, probably a contender going for it, trying to get Etienne at where he's valued. Breece where he's valued. I still think there's value there. So for me, Breece Hall is still a value in your guys' dynasty leagues. And he's someone that I'm not worried about with that injury. That injury looks pretty straightforward. All the injury areas there. Talk about him being he's okay. He's going to be coming back. Looking at Saquon Barkley, maybe like second half of the season next year. He'll be back in that offense, and I'm all in for that one. Next one is Javonte Williams, running back from the Denver Broncos. To me, he's getting valued at running back 13. So this is my sell of this group. And the reason why is that injury is not just a straightforward injury like we saw with Breece Hall. They have talked about him. This might be a J.K. Dobbins situation with that injury. Right now, the value, if you can somehow get a first or a 24 first, I'm going to tell you right now, just based on my Devy perspective and just college football, the 24 class is shaping up to be just as solid as the 23, if not better at certain positions. Running back positions very deep. So if you're going to be able to go get a 24 first and then you can be able to draft Raheem Sanders, Will Shipley, Travion Henderson, these guys, Braylon Allen, like there's a class out there for him. So I think Javonte is a sell right now. Like if I can get an asset plus a first, or if I can just get a first straight up, I don't mind doing that. I think that's where he's at. Just looking at some deals. Somebody got, so Javonte and a first. So you can get Javonte and first for this. Jeff Wilson, Christian Kirk, and Tyler Higbee. That is not, when you're thinking of where the value's at, like if you can get a first for that, I like that deal. Like if you're going to take the risk with Javonte, at least get a first back, right? But to me, if you're going to sell him, get a first. To me, he's one of those players where I like him, but I want him to be on someone else's roster. Let me recoup some value. And if I can get a first, that's where I'm at. Now, last guy real quick before I get out of here. Sleeper, John Metchie. I really like John Metchie right now in terms of this. Obviously, he has his cancer battle. Everything seems like it is progressing correctly. He is a very fun sleeper guy that you can throw in there. There's an unknown situation with Brandon Cooks. We don't know what that relationship is going to look like in the offseason. Nico Collins, we kind of know what Nico Collins is. They have 2 first-round draft picks where I think they're going to go quarterback and wide receiver. But John Metchie is going to slot right in there and be a slot receiver in an improved offense with an improved quarterback. He is one of those guys that I'm really, really thinking like you should be adding in the deep leagues or even in some dynasty throw-in trades. Go try to get John Metchie, get that sleeper in there that you can add there. And I think next year in that position with what he is as a slot with an improved quarterback play increases your value twofold, especially if he's on any contenders rosters right now. If you're making these trades, go try to get John Metchie because I think he's a value. So I appreciate you guys tuning into the channel. Football Guys is here to give you as much content as we can and to help you out in your leagues as much as possible. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Let us know in the comments. What are you guys doing with these guys? Are they buys and sells for you? Where do you see your value at? And as always, in the comments or you find me, tell me, hey, I need some help with these trades. I will be more than welcome to help you. Just hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you guys later.